Hello and welcome to 7 Days of Yoga. I'm Laura and today marks day 4 of your journey where we will begin to explore the full extension of your practice. So let's meet in our seated position. You can begin in a cross-legged pose or kneeling like this. Find what works for you today and any props you may need. So as we begin to find our seat here, our place on the mat. Maybe soften the eyes. Begin to find that stillness. Bringing a gentle awareness to the breath. A soft inhale and exhale. Finding your own rhythm. And beginning to become aware of the mat, the ground, the earth beneath you, your foundations. As we draw that energy up through the seat, the spine, up past the chest, the shoulders, as the blades melt down the back and that lengthen the neck and out the crown of the head. Enjoying this moment of calm. Appreciating yourself for coming back here again today as we explore further into this practice together. And gently flutter the eyes open, welcoming the surroundings back to you. As we start with some gentle seated poses again, just to warm our bodies up today. So with some side stretches, taking your left hand out to the side, resting it on the mat. As you sweep that right arm up and over and really think about that full expression and extension of this pose now. Lifting up and over, feel that length across the side body, the gentle movement of the breath. Really reach with those fingertips up over to the side. Inhaling back to center and swapping sides. So sweeping that left hand up and feel like you're really drawing up tall through the body, sweeping that arm up and over. Full extension of the pose, the fingertips reaching, opening that side body. Softening with the exhale. Then inhaling back to your center. And we'll take a gentle twist together as well. So sweeping your left hand behind you. Maybe it just rests on your sacrum, just above the sitting bones here. And then, or maybe on the mat behind you. And then taking your right arm over to the thigh. And then inhaling to grow tall, really feeling that nice long length through the body, lifting up through the crown of the head. And on the exhale, slowly turning to the left side, keeping the gaze forward and neutral, imagining the spine like a spiral staircase twisting round. Exhaling to soften into the twist. Inhaling tall. Exhaling to soften and twist a little further. And inhaling back to the center. And we'll repeat on the opposite side. So taking your right hand behind you, maybe on the mat or on the sacrum. And then sweeping that left hand onto the thigh. Inhaling tall, lifting up and out, pressing down into the mat with the thigh, with the shins and the feet, lifting up And then exhaling, twisting gently. Inhaling tall. Exhaling to twist the spine like that spiral staircase. The gaze is neutral. Inhaling back to center. And we'll meet back into our tabletop here. So coming onto all fours on the mat, finding that nice, strong, sturdy base, pressing the hands down, stacked under the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Pressing down, finding that nice long length through the body, the tailbone pulling back, the head pulling forward. Finding that length, that full extension of this pose, thinking about your breath, the foundations, that lift and lengthening action. And then taking your right foot back behind you, curling the toes under, nice and straight behind you. And gently inhaling to lift that left arm up, pulling the left hand forward, that right heel behind you, finding that nice full length. Inhaling and exhaling softly. Really feel like those fingertips are reaching forward and that heel back, pressing firmly through the hand that's rooted, the knee that's rooted. One last inhaling, reach. Exhaling, softening back to the center here. Finding nice, gentle stance here. And then rooting down into the opposite hand with the right hand pressing firmly down. Taking that left foot behind you, the toes tucked under, the heel pulling back. And repeating on the opposite side. So pressing firmly into that left hand. Taking the left foot behind you, the heel pressing back. As the right hand begins to peel up, reaches forward, that nice diagonal stretch across the body. Really feel the fingertips pulling forward, extending out, the heel pulling back, the gaze gently lifted, finding that length, pressing firmly down into the rooted hand and foot. Inhale long. Exhale back to your center. We'll come up to our downward dog, tucking the toes under. I like to walk my hands forward a little bit for this, but you may find underneath works best for you. Beginning to lift the knees up gently, pushing the hips back, up and away. Finding your down dog. Maybe you want to explore this a little bit, pedaling the feet out. Playing with bending and straightening the knees, finding what works for you today, exploring the full expression of this pose. Then coming forward for our plank as we move through a very gentle sun salutation. So reaching forward, you begin to come up onto the tiptoes and pushing the weight forward on your inhale. And then coming down, ready from our plank into our cobra. You can drop the knees and begin to lower the chest as you exhale down. Sliding the feet back behind you, untucking the toes. And then on your inhale, lifting up, pulling the chest forward, the feet pressing firmly into the mat, the elbows hugging in. And then exhaling to come back down again as we press back up into our downward dog. So beginning to push up firmly through the mat onto the knees, keeping the toes tucked under and lifting back up into your downward dog. You can play with the stance here if you need to draw the feet back in, realign the hands a little bit. Find your down dog that works for you. You You can play again with pedaling out a little bit, pressing back out and away with the hands, up through the shoulders, lifting out of the body. And then beginning to walk the feet up to the front of the mat for our forward fold Uttanasana. From our Uttanasana, beginning to peel the body back up. Inhaling to draw up very slowly. Nice big bend in the knees. Rolling that spine up gently. Lifting up. And finding your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Pressing those feet firmly into the mat. Finding that length up throughout the body, through the crown of the head. The shoulder blades melting down the back. Finding the full expression and extension of this pose. Gentle awareness of the breath. And from our Tadasana, we'll step back into our Warrior Two. So beginning to shift the weight over to the left foot, peeling the right foot up, and taking a nice big generous step behind you here. And finding a stance that works for you today with the left foot pointing forward and the right foot is pointing towards the top corner of your mat. Finding the balance that works for you today. And gently bending into that front foot, turning the body to face the long edge of your mat. Finding that length up through the body as you lift your arms up. Finding that nice long line. Feeling like there's equal pull from the right and the left of the hands. There's a tendency to lean forward a little bit in Warrior Two, so see if you can find that nice long line. And then gently shifting the gaze over the front fingertips. Finding the full extension here. Inhaling tall. Exhale to maybe soften a little deeper into the pose. And then inhaling, lowering down and straightening that front leg. As we come into our Trikonasana, our triangle pose. So you can stay in the same stance here or shift it around if you need to for your own body. And with the front leg straight, we can begin to reach those fingertips down as if they're just tiptoeing down the leg. And maybe your Trikonasana is here today. You might just rest on the shin, the hand, the top hand can rest on the hips here. We can find this expression of Trikonasana. Or maybe you want to go a little bit lower or explore with a prop. Maybe you get a brick or a book to hand. You could rest the hand on there. And find an expression here. Maybe playing with bringing the top hand up and reaching up. Feeling that nice length coming out the crown of the head. Finding length in the side body here. Inhaling back up to center. And then we can switch around to the opposite side to explore our Warrior Two on the other side. Maybe having your brick to hand if you need it for Trikonasana. So pointing the feet to the front edge of the mat and then turning those left toes to face the front edge of the mat. Pointing forward and then turning the back foot in to the top corner of the mat. And then begin to soften into that front leg, bending it down. Finding the length up throughout the body, pressing firmly into the feet here to find your nice strong foundation to root down. Lifting up and out through the body. And the arms come up, reaching either side, pulling back and forward as you shift the gaze gently over the front fingertips. Inhaling tall, exhaling to soften. Inhale, coming back up and straightening that front foot and preparing to come into our Trikonasana, our triangle pose. So keeping the hips as square as is able to for your body today. And maybe you just come here for your Trikonasana. The hand just rests on the thigh and the top arm just rests on the hip. You open the side body up to the long edge of your mat. Maybe the hand tiptoes down a little bit onto the shin, finding this place. Maybe it rests on a brick, whatever prop you have to hand. You could try a different setting, going a little bit lower. Keeping that nice long line in the side body. Trying not to arch too much, keeping a nice straight line. Perhaps going for another expression down to the bottom. Resting the fingertips, reaching the arm up with that nice long line. And the crown of the head pulling forward. And inhaling to come up. Soften the hands. Point the feet to the front long edge of your mat here. And you can begin to bring them back to your center here. Enjoying this moment in this stance here, your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Firming the feet back into the earth. Pulling up through the crown of the head. Inhaling, sweeping the arms open. And exhaling to curl back down to the earth. Rolling the spine down, nice big bend in the knees. As we come down all the way to our seat. Moving any props out of the way. Finding your way back down to the mat. You can use props to place underneath the hips here. Raise the seat and make whichever seated variation works best for your body. Maybe you stay in a nice kneeling pose, just taking a moment to let the body quiet, the mind find some stillness, finding that breath. Soaking up that practice. Have you worked from your breath to your foundations, your length and that full extension and expression? And when you're ready, you can come down to Shavasana, slowly coming down to your mat. Allowing the body to relax, finding the Shavasana that works for you today. Maybe some bolsters, pillows under the knees, a blanket under the head. Hands on the body or to the side. As you begin to soften the gaze, allow the body to melt into the earth. Release any tension that's being held, particularly in the forehead and the brow and the jaw. Allowing those to soften. A gentle awareness to the breath. and giving thanks to yourself for continuing with your practice and finding time for your own self-care today and exploring this journey. I invite you to stay in this Shavasana as long as you may need. Inhale in and exhale out.